Indeed, breaking news. Donald Trump is basically declaring war on Venezuela to overthrow Nicolas Maduro's regime, though Washington claims it's targeting drug trafficking, not the country itself. Today, it was officially announced that the United States has sent an entire fleet to the shores of Venezuela. That's 7 ships and about 4,000 to 5,000 military personnel, including 3 missile destroyers and at least 1 attack submarine. On paper, this is a fight against drug trafficking. In reality, this is the closest point in many years to a direct confrontation between the United States and Venezuela. Moreover, American media don't hide the fact that the United States has never been this close to an armed conflict with Venezuela, with a heavily armed American fleet off its shores. Earlier, the White House announced a reward of $50 million for information that would help the United States overthrow the dictator Nicolas Maduro. Let's figure out together in this episode what's really happening and why Donald Trump actually sent the army to the shores of Venezuela. My name is Alexei Pichi. Today is August 29th on the calendar. Let's go through everything step by step. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, write any comment, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. As Axios reports today, quote, even Donald Trump's close advisors are not entirely sure whether gunboat diplomacy is a drug trafficking operation with a regime change subtext or a coup operation in Caracas disguised as a fight against drugs. American media openly say that sending the army to Venezuela could become a pretext for a coup in Caracas, with the goal of overthrowing the regime of Nicolas Maduro, who is a close friend of another dictator, Vladimir Putin. What is officially known at this point? United States President Donald Trump ordered 7 warships with 4,500 military personnel on board, including 3 guided missile destroyers and at least 1 attack submarine, to head to Venezuelan territorial waters. Officially, they are there to fight drug trafficking. However, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt already on Thursday revealed the ambiguity of this military mission, noting that the United States considers Maduro a fugitive head of a drug cartel, not the legitimate president of Venezuela. And such an undisguised message from the White House says a lot. White House officials have already stated that a military operation against Venezuela could be the second part of the saga called Noriega. Let me explain what is meant. In 1989, American troops suddenly approached Panama by ship. The reason was the same, to fight drugs. It later turned out that the United States carried out a military operation to capture the president of Panama, Manuel Noriega, who, like Nicolas Maduro, was accused by the United States of drug trafficking. So the hint is more than clear. United States troops are heading into Venezuelan waters to overthrow Nicolas Maduro. It's interesting that officials from the White House aren't holding back in their statements at all right now, and I'll give you a quote here. According to Axios, President Trump requested several options, and ultimately, the decision on further actions is made by the United States President. But Maduro should be ready for any surprises. Leaving Maduro in power in Venezuela is like making Jeffrey Epstein the director of a kindergarten. And now the most interesting part, the White House has officially refused to rule out the possibility of an invasion of Venezuela. And now just a fact. The armed forces sent to the shores of Venezuela include 2,200 Marines who are part of the ground forces. That's hardly typical for fighting drugs at sea. A $50 million reward for Maduro's head was announced on August 7, and already on August 8, Trump ordered the military to start pursuing drug cartels in Latin America. In short, the puzzle fits together, and it fits together too perfectly to be just a routine anti-drug operation. Let me remind you, Nicolas Maduro was first accused during Donald Trump's first term when he was said to be leading the drug cartel Cartel de los Soles, which last month the United States Treasury Department recognized as a foreign terrorist organization. Interestingly, Nicolas Maduro himself is already scared, and here is his statement, quote, "What about Nicolas? They are threatening to take action against Venezuela, regime change, a military attack. This is immoral, criminal, and illegal." And right away, Maduro called on Venezuelan citizens to join the military militia to repel the expected United States invasion. And then, various dictators rushed to save Nicolas Maduro. First, Maduro's leftist ally, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, stated that, quote, "The cartel of the Suns does not exist. It's a fictional excuse used by the far right to overthrow governments that don't obey them." Right after Gustavo Petro, Russia started screaming that the United States just wants to remove Maduro in order to seize Venezuelan oil. Oil really is another important factor in the United States' relationship with Venezuela, which has the largest proven reserves in the world. But remember that before declaring Maduro a terrorist, Trump eased the pressure a bit by allowing the oil deal between Venezuela and the American company Chevron to resume. Trump, through his special representative Rick Grenell, was the first to reach out to Nicolas Maduro with a request for help regarding oil. But Maduro, puffing out his cheeks, rejected Trump's offer and hoped that his longtime friend Vladimir Putin would somehow help him. But the thing is, besides Rick Grenell, Trump's team also includes Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of the United States and National Security Advisor. And here it's important to delve into Rubio's background. He is truly a son of the radically minded anti-socialist Cuban emigre community in Miami. According to Marco Rubio, the Maduro regime is supported by Cuban intelligence, and Venezuela supports the Cuban economy with cheap oil. That's why Rubio insists that it's time to put an end to Maduro. In simple terms, Marco Rubio's logic is as follows. The Maduro regime survives thanks to Cuban intelligence, and Cuba survives on Venezuelan oil. And this connection needs to be broken in order to kill two birds with one stone. Now here's the overall picture of the Trump team's hopes. As Axios writes, the main hope of the Trump administration is that either Nicolas Maduro himself will reach out and negotiate a peaceful transfer of power, or that he will be killed by Venezuelan military officers eager to claim the $50 million reward or to normalize relations with the United States. And now, many experts are sure that the United States Army doesn't even need to invade Venezuela. It's enough to actively intercept any vessel suspected of drug smuggling off the coast of Venezuela. This creates a blockade of the country, and sooner or later, it will lead to the collapse of Maduro's regime. The Trump administration has already stated that they do not even rule out airstrikes. In particular, United States aircraft may demonstratively carry out strikes on sparsely populated jungle areas where cocaine production is suspected, or the activities of drug cartels. An airstrike on the new ammunition factory built in Venezuela is also not ruled out. Who Russian's editor. Some in Donald Trump's circle even believe that Maduro could become the target of a drone strike, considering that he is officially suspected of terrorism. And now, politicians in Washington have reminded that Trump demonstrated in Iran that he is ready to use sudden and decisive force. But there's a small problem here. Trump already tried to overthrow the regime in Caracas during his first presidential term, but he failed. One American official said that there is little real loyalty to Maduro within the regime in Venezuela, except in cases when it can be bought with money. Therefore, Maduro's regime must be deprived of as much money as possible. On the other hand, the Cubans will really support Maduro's regime even at their own expense if he stands in Washington's way. But if Maduro tries to betray the Cubans, they might remove him themselves. What's next? The next few weeks will be nerve-wracking. Ship interceptions are nearly certain. Any misstep at sea or at the border is a reason for another step of escalation. A large-scale invasion of Venezuelan territory by American troops is still on the table, but remains just an option because it's too expensive and unpredictable and no one knows what to do. The day after, the Trump administration looks like this. Fear and money will do their work inside the regime. Someone will break for 50 million and for legalization in the New World Order. In other words, the Americans have already openly stated that they don't care who will be the leader of Venezuela after Maduro. You decide among yourselves. The main thing for us is that the new leader can build an adequate dialogue with America. Well, basically, it's an invitation. It's an invitation that goes like this. Overthrow Maduro's regime, get $50 million and the loyalty of the Americans, and you can become the new leader of Venezuela. So very, very dangerous times lie ahead for Maduro. Well, and Putin, of course, won't be able to help here anymore. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's it for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.